So, so who here has ever played Minecraft before? Okay, yeah.
What was the question?
Who's played Minecraft before?
Played, okay. No, I haven't played.
Oh,
I've never played Minecraft.
are you serious, Drake?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
I thought like you played Minecraft.
I play Nintendo and Flash games.
Oh, okay. All right.
I still
So-
play Flash games.
So all those Minecrafters out there, what's your favorite mob? Villain. Your favorite what do they call that? Not friendly mob.
Um,
All right, where are my Skelly archers at? Who likes the Skelly archers? No?
Ellie Archie.
Yeah, skeletons. The skeleton archer. I call them Skellies. You've never heard them called Skellies? You're just not down with the lingo, kiddos. All right, how about baby zombies? Who likes the baby zombies? They're cute. I've never heard them called cute before. Okay.
I also have a second favorite, which is the Blaze.
The Blaze. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
What brought it?
Yeah. But the Blaze, you can only get into the Nether. So you must be really like OP over there, if you're getting into the Nether and stuff. All right, so
Playing even Super Smash Bros. Does that count as playing Minecraft?
I didn't even realize he'd be in Super Smash Brothers. That's weird.
Yes.
Oh, that's fine.
You don't even need diamonds to get into the Nether. All you need is water and lava. You just place the lava, and then you place the water, or vice versa. Keep it with your kids, and then you just.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You could slowly rebuild a portal that way. Yeah, you wouldn't have to diamond pick the obsidian. Yeah. Never thought about that.
I used to call the obsidian. I can't think of it now, but it was like nether stone or something.
Purple stone or something. Yeah. Obsidian. Favorite biome. Favorite biome.
I like when it's like half valley, half sand area, half actually that
Oh, is it like the taiga or something, where they got the curvy trees and stuff? Or do you actually like desert?
desert area.
Mm.
Valley, 'cause, like,
With like the layers of the canyons.
yeah, and then also like
Oh yeah.
section of like with a tree like so I'd be
Yeah.
spawn in the middle of that. I'd go over, get some trees, and make a crafting table and all.
Yeah.
And then my house. And then going over to the desert, I get tin for glass, sandstone,
Yeah. And all those different pretty colors of sandstone or whatever kind of stone that is. That stuff's nice. To make some neat.
Favorite Mr. Beast Minecraft video?
I don't watch Mr. Beast. I refuse.
No.
No. Sorry. I'm not into Mr. Beast, man.
I never heard of it.
Mm. That's good. Keep it that way.
You can't have it all. Good for you.
I do watch Minecraft YouTube. Like my son got me into that. He watches like this guy named Sword, and there's some other guy, I can't remember what his name is. But they have all these competitions where it's like a hardcore survival, which basically means if you die you can't join the server ever again, right? Yeah, so that's Minecraft hardcore. And so they have all these like different modes. They've got like the Purge from those movies, except Minecraft, and then they've got Hunger Games, where it's like there's a cornucopia in the middle with a bunch of loot, and then you fan out, and then it like closes a circle. There's Maze Runner. I mean, it's like a proverbial smorgasbord of like content creation opportunities. It's pretty neat, but it's a good way to kill 4 hours. How about that?
I've seen the ones where they have the Mr. Beast one of the ones where they have people that commission things. Like, okay, we commissioned a $5 Minecraft house, a 50, 500, 5,000, 50,000. Let's see how crazy I think some of them build you for
Yeah.
money in Minecraft.
So when I was at Microsoft Ignite, there was a Lego display of one of the Azure data centers, and it was in the expo. It was really cool, really nice. In Legoland, we call it Lego World, not Legoland, but like in Lego World, it's called an MOC, a my own creation, which is like you don't follow the instruction manual. You just take a bunch of Lego parts and you build something like from your imagination. Anyways, like we had commissioned, to your point, this Lego master. He's a Lego artist to build this my own creation MOC of an Azure data center. It was really cool. And it had different scenes in it to tell different stories. Anyways, this guy, have you guys ever seen that show, Lego Masters? I love that show. Chris, is his name Chris Arnett? Will Arnett. That guy's so freaking hilarious. I love that guy. Anyways, this guy was the runner-up in like season 2 or something. So like he was on TV. I definitely watched this whole season, and I got to talking to him because I'm a big fan of Lego, and I find out that his day job is actually he's a level designer for Minecraft. I don't know what that means, but it means he goes and creates digital creations, like you're talking about, but in Minecraft. Because it is kind of like Lego. Like you have to use different pieces, blocks to design stuff. And so I was like, okay, now that I found this out about you, I got to tell you what my talk is about at Microsoft Ignite. And I showed him like how I, use Terraform to Minecraft stuff. He was very polite. He patted me on the head. That's cute.
We can start a little early. It's after 6. I think that's probably about as many as we get.
Okay, Drake, you wanna do the housekeeping here? Oh, I can click through.
Oh yeah, yes. It's probably a better idea. I did wash my hands, but still. Okay. So click.
Where are we?
So if you did not know, I think actually raise your hand if this is your first tech event in Columbus. I think only applies to people under age 20. So if you did not know, there's a bunch of different in-person meetups in Columbus. So this is 3 of them together: Terraform, Azure, and DevOps. And we meet together in January because with Code Bash, if we did not meet together, we would all be very lonely. So yeah, we are all on Meetup. Find us there. I believe all of us also have Discords and organizers. But I'm not going to cover that in the combined meetup. If you have questions, just talk to us afterwards. Raise your hand if you're an organizer. So I'm with DevOps and Azure and Terraform.
Actually, Cardbay.
Oh, Cardbay. Yeah. There's so many things. Ooh, actually.
Hug. He's calling the HashiCorp user group Terraform.
I'm sorry. I don't know how any of that stuff works.
It's pretty much.
I write bicep. That's what it's.
Yeah, that's right. No.
That's a personal problem.
This.
That's.
I'm actually
Nobody's perfect.
I think my certification is actually lapsed. I should renew it. It's fine. But
Drake's personal detractors aside,
no, it's
Moving
really it's a great technology, even though it's owned by IBM.
Her. Okay.
Okay. Next. Yep, just more. There are a lot of groups. They're cool. Sponsors. So big thank you to Veeam. So Veeam, if you did not know.
Okay, Rick point.
Oh wait, of course. Rick walks out in a second. Come on.
Tell him we plugged Veeam, okay?
Okay, good.
Oh, he's back. I feel like this is like Blue Man Crew, and like we're hazing all the latecomers or something.
We just put this. We have another organizer just popped in for the Azure. If you have questions about it. So we're just saying thank you to Veeam. So they do a lot of stuff they think that's going to be possible. I think you're up to you host 5 meetups a month on average or
Well,
something.
we've got these 3. Angelo Mondato with the AWS. Peter Shore with the SQL Server EBA through CBus Data Pass. And once a year, the Somalis in tech. So we do a lot. So.
Yep. But they make a bunch of stuff possible, so really appreciate them. And if you ever have questions about, I believe it's mostly data and security.
Yeah, backup, and if you want to do backups for the home lab, just reach out to me. I can get you NFR licenses for that.
Perfect. Okay.
Anything.
Cool.
Next one. And then a heads up, blatant plug for the Azure group. But Azure Global, which is a 1-day free conference, will be happening Saturday, April 18th. We are just hashing out the details. It might be in this room, most likely. We'll know
Maybe
shortly.
probably is where I left it.
Yeah. If not, it will be in a different room in Columbus on Azure 18. So that will be on Meetup soon as well. And if anybody wants to submit talks for it, we are going to. And also, I will say, all the groups I believe currently are looking for speakers because we're all always looking for speakers.
Yep.
Okay, and then the fast hiring board. Who all is hiring? So if anybody, I think we're Rogue's looking for a senior .NET full stack dev, and then a recruiter I know is looking for a senior Python dev and a senior mid-level .NET full stack. What are you looking for?
We're looking for a number of positions, but this is OCLC, so it's going to be Java. There is some .NET, a lot of React, TypeScripts, Python, AI.
Perfect. And then who all is looking? Just hit up either of us afterwards if either of them sound like if it were just have questions about it. This is a good room to ask for advice if you, or even if you don't know what you're looking for. And I believe that is the last slide. So I'll now intro Mark. So Mark is a are you principal architect at Microsoft? Is that
Yeah.
right? Principal architect at Microsoft. And on the side, he runs a YouTube channel and meetups in the Columbus area because he's a glutton for punishment and wants to talk to tech nerds all day. He probably has a real life outside of that, but we're not sure. He has a book, and were you working on a second book or not? It's just the one book. You decided to like cut your losses, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I could not get spousal approval to write another book.
Can't imagine why.
We'll see.
But he is the person to go to if you have questions about Terraform, and then also if you have questions about kind of how to set up really functional apps and ecosystems to bring in junior developers, to bring in AI agents, and really anything that involves making the process of development and shipping and building software safer, better, faster. Mark's the person to talk to. I'll let you take it away.
Thanks, man.
Minecraft.
Yeah,
It's just
man.
Roblox. It's just Roblox clone, right? That's what this is.
Yeah, so great to see everybody. Am I full screen there? I don't know. Let me see. I think slideshow settings. I think I did this.
You didn't play from the start.
There we go. That's better. Sorry about that. Leftover settings from something else. But I had the distinct pleasure of giving this talk both at Kansas City Developer Conference, KCDC, and Microsoft Ignite, which definitely checked off a dream come true scenario for me. I stumbled across, funny story, I stumbled across the internal call for content, which is supposed to be used for actual product managers that are shipping new releases and stuff at Microsoft to make announcements at the conference. But like, because we were discussing this within my product team, and I was like, oh, I can't resist. So I was like, I'm just not, I can't just not submit like a talk to this. So I submitted this talk to this Ignite build, like call for content. Had no expectation that anybody would call me back. And I get a cryptic Teams message saying that they wanted to have me out there. So it was quite an experience. Happy to share more about that experience if you're interested. But it was pretty neat. So the genesis of the talk is really about how can we learn something that people get paid a lot of money to do, right? And that's to, ship infrastructure and manage infrastructure in a repeatable way. But how can we do that in a much more approachable concept model, right? And that's where I discovered that there was a Minecraft provider for Terraform. And I was like, wow, this thing is really cool. So I started developing it and adding features to it. And somehow I've become the maintainer of the Terraform provider for Minecraft, which is an open source project on GitHub. and all these young programmers out here, right? If you guys want to contribute to this open source project, I'm accepting PRs. Okay. Good question. You know, ask your dad. Ask your dad.
So, a PR means that you get to, so what he's doing lets anybody in the world put what they want on Minecraft. And a PR means that you can add your own code so that anybody else out there can get to use it. So you can actually write code that like thousands of people are using to put out their Minecraft servers.
Yeah.
I like how she
By the end of this,
Yet.
She said the right words.
So you're saying there's a chance.
I say I don't know how. You say I don't know how to get it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So it's just been a really interesting journey. And as I've kind of explored this fun aspect of Terraform, I started seeing parallels, you know, to the actual like way I was using Terraform for Azure. And I was like, this might be really kind of an interesting way to introduce people to infrastructure as code and to immutable infrastructure and to tools like Terraform, without all the conceptual overhead of, you know, EC2 instances, auto scaling groups, and all, you know, S3 buckets, and, you know, API management, all these other weird things that cloud people use, right? But like, if you just understand how Minecraft works, which anybody who's played Minecraft for longer than 50 minutes probably does. It took me a little bit longer. My son was very patient. Yeah. I'm going to get dancing here. And, you know, you have the foundation to learn how to, you know, learn Terraform. So that's kind of where this come from. And this is me. You know, I won't belabor my intro, but I do work for Microsoft. Nothing I'm saying is, you know, in my official capacity for Microsoft. I'm not a spokesperson for Microsoft. These are all my personal opinions. I have to say these things. I am a HashiCorp ambassador, which means I'm very active in the community. I blog. I have a YouTube channel that I haven't posted to in a while. I'm genuinely passionate about helping people be successful on Azure, and I think the best way to do that is with Terraform. No offense to those flexing their biceps back there. Okay, you know. And as a result, I have also published a book. It's called Mastering Terraform. We're going to give one away today. So if anybody's interested, we might do like an impromptu, you know, coding session where I create a random resource and like pick a number, you know, a sort of thing. Well, maybe we'll do that later. But anyways, so how did I get into Minecraft in the first place? Well, it was my son. I was a big fan of Lego, okay? And I was a little bit of a Lego snob. Now I'm big enough to admit this, okay? My son was like, "Dad, we have this cool thing called Minecraft. You know, you need to come play with me." I'm like, "No. I play with bricks, you know, in the real world, because that's what real nerds do, you know." And because, you know, we bonded on Lego too. But he was like, "No, you should try it." So I tried it, and then I started logging more hours than my son, okay? And like, I would do stupid things like row my boat, okay, for hours, you know, just exploring this massive, unending world, it's really amazing, you know. And my son just doesn't get that. He just wants to PvP, you know, like player versus player, like kill each other and stuff. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. But I like exploring. I like farming my carrots. I like tending my flock of sheep, you know, that sort of thing. Boring old man stuff, okay?
Go back to Sims.
But anyways, Minecraft is just one of those games that it can be anything you want. And that's, I think, why it's had so much staying power in the gaming world and just for young people and old people. Like, I found a new way to play Minecraft today. Drake was talking about how people, like, create Dungeons and Dragons, you know, campaigns in Minecraft worlds. I'm like, makes sense. It's a super flexible game. It's just a really neat thing to do. And so, you know, I got into Minecraft and like, okay, I'm like, maybe this is my chance to teach my son Linux, you know, because now like I've discovered, you know, I could set up a Minecraft server. I'm like, son, you know, you love Minecraft, right? Well, let's go set up a Minecraft server. And he's like, yeah, Dad, that sounds awesome. I'm like, we'll do it on Linux, and I can teach you some Linux commands and like set it all. He's like, yeah, that sounds awesome. So we sit down, and I'm like, so this is, how you do a curl, and this is ls-a. And he's like, when are you going to be done? And you're like, I'm going to go. And then like, you let me know when the server's done. And so I did fail at teaching my son Linux yet. Okay. But, it delved me deeper into Minecraft in a totally different direction, which was actually applying all the skills that I used as an automation engineer, right? Using HashiCorp's tooling, Packer, Terraform, but to build my son this Minecraft server. Because I'm not going to ClickOps or ScriptOps a Minecraft server. I gotta Terraform myself a Minecraft server. I gotta build a Minecraft server base image to do that. So basically, what today I'm going to talk to you about is how to build a Minecraft server. But then I'm going to show you how, with a tool like Terraform, you can expand the automation beyond just the control plane of the operating system and the cloud infrastructure that the server is hosted on into the actual game world itself. And that is really demonstrating one of the superpowers of Terraform as a tool, right? In terms of its flexibility to, basically create a unified automation layer across all of these different control planes, whether it's AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Grafana, or even Minecraft, right? I mean, all these things can be automated using the same mechanics, the same language, the same tool. So it really is a way that you can learn infrastructure as code, but just by having fun in Minecraft. So let's roll back the clock. That's where we're going. What is infrastructure as code? And the way I think about it is this. When we write code as application developers, the code that we're writing is describing behaviors in our software. Like, what can a user do, right? What should the application do and respond to user inputs, right? But when you're doing infrastructure as code, the code actually represents the environment of your application, right? And so you are coding, but you're not coding what the end user interacts with, but you are coding how your application is going to be hosted. So it's literally just a different discipline of applying software development approaches. And when you think about that, just like with your application code, it can span multiple layers. And the same is true with infrastructure as code. You have kind of the foundation or the bedrock. Get it? Minecraft fans, okay. Anyway, so bedrock. The cloud services, we're laying down the foundation for which our servers are going to exist out in the cloud, right? But those servers need to do something, right? There needs to be a place where our applications can go and frolic and have fun, right? And that's where the overworld or dirt, you need a lot of dirt, to run on, for trees to grow and flowers to bloom and, sheep to spawn, right? And that's where operating system configuration comes in, whether that's a virtual machine, that is configured, or a Docker image. There's configuration at the OS layer of like, what is the playing ground for our applications that are going to sit on top of this thing? And then you have that application configuration, which is now our apps are sitting on top of this world. And you have like, it's kind of like the trees or the bushes or the mountains, right? That you want to have within your world. We have, a huge cloud crafting table of all sorts of tools in order to describe the configuration that spans these layers. But there are two tools that I'm quite fond of just because of some of the things that I mentioned earlier, their versatility, right? And that is Packer and more so Terraform. And we'll get into that here in a second. And so Terraform lives within, that cloud services configuration where you're setting up that foundation. So that's on Azure Virtual Machines, EC2 on AWS, but all sorts of other resources within that cloud layer as well for platform as a service offerings. So it's not just spinning up VNets and VMs or VPCs and EC2s. There's all sorts of things on the platform that you have to manage the configuration of. And all those things kind of span that cloud services configuration in my mind. And then you have that operating system configuration that manifests in a couple of different ways. That can be done through Packer, which allows us to bake images that are immutable artifacts that we deploy VMs for. Am I losing you? Oh, that's a good question. Bake. So there's a concept so between Ansible and Packer, Packer's going to bake an image, which means, how do I put this?
Like a custom version.
Like if I take a picture, right? And like with a Polaroid camera, you're probably too young for this. You have a Polaroid camera? Perfect.
It's back.
You take a picture
Big way.
with a Polaroid camera and it comes out. Can you change it? No. What if I have a whiteboard, right? If I have a whiteboard, I can take a marker and I can draw and I can erase it and I can draw something else, right? That's the difference between Packer and Ansible, right? Packer, I bake, just like your Polaroid camera bakes that image. I bake that picture. Can't be changed, unless you destroy it, right? Which people delete images, right, all the time, because I don't like this image. I tested this image, doesn't work, delete it. I don't need to keep this thing, in my EBS volumes, right, or in my AMI volumes, right. With Ansible, it's really about do this. Is this out there? Okay, delete that, update that. You can make rapid updates to this kind of writable surface area, which is that whiteboard. Docker, again, is a lot like the Polaroid camera, right? You create a base layer of the image, that's it. So I don't know if that helped. Okay, she's being nice. But that's the difference between immutable and mutable infrastructure. Then you get into application configuration, which there's many different frameworks for this. I'm picking on Kubernetes because, it's, I think, probably the most dominant from an industry standard, but different platform services, platform as a service offerings have different application configuration models. A colleague of mine, David Fowler, he promotes this thing called Aspire, which has its own application configuration model. Any .NET developers in the house? Okay, so .NET Aspire, .NET Aspire. I think they dropped the .NET from it, but Aspire. It has its own application configuration. Same, right? It's about how your application code can talk to each other and depends on each other and things like that. My point is all of these different types of configuration are stacked together to create functioning production systems. And that configuration spans those layers. So how do we manage the configuration as it spans these layers in an effective way? And that means sometimes stitching tool chains together. Like for Kubernetes workloads, you're going to have cloud services configuration, with something like Terraform. You're going to have the operating system configuration locked into a Docker image that you push to a repo. And then you might have that application layer configuration into a Helm chart that kind of connects the different Docker images and the assumptions therein together. And then totally different, like on Azure, we have this service called Azure Container Apps. It's kind of like Kubernetes Lite, like we don't, there's a Kubernetes cluster there behind the scenes, but like you don't have to manage that. Like that's just Azure configuration that helps kind of orchestrate what's going on behind the scenes. So all you have to do is you have to deal with Terraform and you have to deal with Docker images. So if you don't have a lot of sophistication around like managing Kubernetes clusters, because that can be, not for the faint of heart, it's not a super easy job. Services like this can offer an alternative where I just want to focus on my code and I want to ship my code, right? And then using alternative tools like Packer or Ansible, where you can create immutable images, like you take the Polaroid snapshot of what's the golden image, and then you can use Ansible to kind of layer on the last mile configuration for what needs to be out there. And the same thing can be done with Minecraft servers, okay? Now with Minecraft servers, and this is what I did at home. I of course started provisioning my Minecraft servers on Azure, my favorite cloud, Okay, sorry, Brad. Sorry, Manu. You know, you guys do a good job too. You know, you try really hard. They're from AWS. I'm just like, you know, I'm a shareholder. Okay, you know, your success is my success. I love it. What's that? What's that? Anyways,
One of the cloud services going to add a Minecraft service.
I don't know. Yeah, I should write to my CVP about that and be like, you know what we should do? Minecraft as a service. You know, I could write that RP, man. Anyways, with Minecraft service, I provisioned my first one with Azure Terraform, and I of course baked a Packer image for the Bedrock version of Minecraft. But I've also had to diversify and create a Java version as well. But the cool thing, what is the application layer for Minecraft? That is the Minecraft APIs itself. So what if I could automate the control plane of Minecraft using the same tool that I use to manage other configuration for other control planes? And that's when I, you know, got into the Terraform provider for Minecraft, and I started having a lot of fun. So the cool thing about a tool like Terraform, unlike proprietary monoblock platform specific automation tools that only do one thing,
One and a half things.
one and a half things, not so great, you know, there's this amazing tool that can automate almost all of the things that you might want to automate. And if it doesn't automate those things that you want to automate, you can write your own provider. And all you need is a REST API, and you can start describing those resources just like I did for Minecraft, right? When I first started developing the Minecraft provider, there was exactly one resource. Guess what resource I could provision to my Minecraft server with Terraform? Guess. What's the most simple basic thing that you can put down in a Minecraft? Yeah, and what is dirt in Minecraft? It's a block. Yeah. There was one resource type, and it was a block. That's it. But with one resource, I could create any type of block because the attribute of a block is the type of material, right? So there's literally hundreds of types of materials, and then stitching together those blocks in interesting ways, I could create anything just with that one resource type. But then I soon discovered it would be kind of fun, you know, to provision other things like mobs or more complex blocks that don't behave like other blocks, like stairs or chests or beds. Those are actually blocks, but they have special behaviors. So I started to discover, although it was super powerful with this one resource type, I needed more resource types. And that's how I started developing the Minecraft provider. And so just like, you know, in the Minecraft world, when you're trying to bake a really nice or cook a really nice rabbit stew, you need lots of ingredients and you need to merge them together. You don't like rabbit stew?
No, I just can't
Oh.
A little pixelated.
We're expanding culinary, boundaries today. So just like trying to create rabbit stew, you need a lot of ingredients, right? And sometimes that takes a team, right? If you watch any of those Minecraft YouTubers, you got people that have to tend the carrots, like me, right? I like to tend my carrots, you know? And then you have other people that have to go hunt the rabbit, right? Or chop down the trees to make the bowls, right? And so we see a similar kind of stratification within infrastructure as code for different roles in using infrastructure as code, but for different reasons. The platform teams are engineers that focus on creating shared infrastructure that's application or workload agnostic, that can be reused, right? That's their role in creating that rabbit stew. And the application developers have a radically different focus, right, in terms of infrastructure as code, which is managing the prerequisites for that application to be able to go and live healthily on that overworld and frolic amongst the trees and friendly mobs, which is going to be operating system configuration and the application configuration, right? But at its core, both of these two personas are trying to achieve the exact same thing. They're the end mission. They're on a mission. They're on a treasure hunt. They're trying to find the treasure. They have the same goal in mind, and that is an enchanted pickaxe. You got an enchanted pickaxe? Something to strive for. But in our world, what is the enchanted pickaxe? That is healthy, production-ready software. That's what we're trying to do at the end of the day. Like, nobody provisions VMs just for VMs. We're provisioning VMs so that we can run software. That's what it's about. So these teams have to work together to achieve that mission, which is that enchanted pickaxe of releasing production systems in a predictable way. That's what it's all about. And just like an enchanted pickaxe, acquiring one in Minecraft, takes, a lot of effort. It sounds nice, like, oh, just go to the enchanted pickaxe store and grab an enchanted pickaxe. No, you got to mine ore, you got to do XP farming. There's a lot of work. See, I mean, we have some fellow compatriots still have yet to acquire an enchanted. Do you have an enchanted pickaxe? Whoa, man. Okay. Something to strive for. It's okay. You still have time. It takes a lot of work, as you can see. And there's a process to do it. So, first step of enchanted pickaxe, get diamonds. What's the second step? No. Okay, this is a high level overview. Boom, enchanting table. Yes. Step 2, enchanting table. Now, am I skipping some steps? Yeah, I am. Oversimplified, okay? And then finally, boom, enchanted pickaxe. There we go. Releasing predictable, healthy, stable software systems is the same way. We have to follow a process to do it in a repeatable way, just like we have to when we try and get our enchanted pickaxe. When we deploy to production, we bake a golden image of our software, whether it's a Packer image, with a virtual machine that has our software running and ready to go, or whether it's a Docker file or whatever, it's an Ansible script, whatever it is, right? Then we use Terraform to provision our environment, right? And then we reference those images that we provision, whether they're Docker container images or VM images. And this process forms a release motion by which we can achieve the enchanted pickaxe, which is how do we get repeatable, healthy software, stable software release process. And so what that looks like is you have a Packer workspace right here. Now this is actually my Packer workspace for my Minecraft server. So there we go, man. And look, I don't know if you can see that, but I got a Java version and a Bedrock edition. So
what's the Bedrock?
So Bedrock runs on cross-platform. It's cross-platform, so it runs on. Well, that's kind of a misnomer because Java's cross-platform, but it runs on all the gaming systems. So Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, all that stuff, right? So I built a Packer template, right, for Minecraft Bedrock Edition and Minecraft Java Edition. And I followed the exact same process that I've done countless times, when working with customers trying to automate their virtual machine based workloads, right? You gotta, the Packer template's going to connect to Azure, spin up a VM. It's going to install a bunch of software. It's going to download the latest version of Minecraft, and it's going to update some of the Minecraft configuration files based on input parameters that you specify. And then it's going to shut down the virtual machine, take a snapshot, and save that as a virtual machine image so that I can then spin up a new Minecraft server, fully configured, ready to go, with one Terraform apply, right? And so then I need my Terraform code. Of course, I'm using Azure, my favorite cloud. And, here I declare my virtual machines. I've got some other corollary services like Key Vault for my SSH key, storage, so that I can save my Minecraft worlds, so that if my Minecraft server dies, I don't lose everything. That's a nice thing. Of course, I have to live on a network, so I need to block, network access and stuff like that. But then I can also use these tools in tandem in that kind of enchanted pickaxe release motion using something like GitOps, workflow using GitHub Actions, right? And for the GitHub Actions, I'm using some standard templates that I've released in another open source project of mine called the GitHub AT-AT, Automate the Automation of Terraform, which will set up a fully end-to-end operational Packer or Terraform release process using Terraform. And literally, my Terraform code is automating GitHub to create the repo, to create the GitHub Actions, and to set everything up to talk to your cloud so that you can basically just hit, run on the GitHub action, and it'll deploy everything out there to Azure, AWS, or wherever. So this kind of constitutes, what that release motion looks like. Now, after I get my environment out there, I start thinking about, well, some of these things are, kind of similar to other projects that I've used. How can I encapsulate, this into a repeatable module, right? So that I don't have to just copy and paste the code over and over again. And this kind of exposes, especially even when we get into the Minecraft, automating things in Minecraft, there's a superpower of Terraform that is modularity, right? Being able to create modules that are reusable, that take primitive objects like the block and stack them together in interesting ways and capture that as like application developers do in a method or a class that can then be referenced again, ad infinitum in many different ways, like varying the inputs to create newer, interesting things. And so, with this crafting table, right, like you can combine primitive elements. I think Minecraft gives a really good metaphor for this, right? You combine primitive elements together to create more interesting scenarios. A few blocks of wood, a few planks of wood, and I've got this really interesting barrel, right? It's kind of cool. I add a little bit of paper. Now I've got a mapping table or cartography table, which is one of my favorite features. I love building maps in Minecraft. I had some books and a bookshelf, and now I've got, I don't even know a lectern. That's what this thing's called, right? But you throw in something else, something totally radical with the same primitives like this, some wood, some sticks, and a piece of coal, and boom, I have fire, right? I have a roaring fire. The same thing can happen with Terraform when you're working with AWS or Azure, whatever your cloud platform is. You take those same primitives and you stitch them together to create different workloads, different templates for radically different applications and radically different workloads, but reusing those same success patterns at that smaller, minute level. And so, yeah, I think it's a really interesting way. And as I've explored terraforming Minecraft, I've seen those patterns play out parallel to the cloud platforms that I work on. And I've been able to create lots of really interesting things. I started by building a log cabin, by building, different parts of that. I built a golden pyramid, a powered rail system that I can, provision to basically infinity. An aqueduct system like the Romans, a medieval castle, and all sorts of things, right? And really, it starts with, that primitive block, from the Terraform provider for Minecraft, that you can then, go and create lots of different things. And to use the block, this is where we're getting into the really interesting Minecraft stuff. Okay, kids? Yes, pay attention. Sharpen those pencils. In order to provision a block, all I have to do this. I need to set a position. Okay. I'm sure if you're playing Minecraft, you're probably tracking your position, so you know where to go back to, where the good loot is and all that stuff. So you have a three-dimensional Cartesian coordinates. That's fancy talk for 3D position. And then you have a material. That's it. And for every block in the game world, there is a material: dirt, gold blocks, iron blocks, diamond blocks, birch trees. I mean, everything in the water, air. Well, something you wouldn't even realize: air is a block, which I discovered this, during my development of the Minecraft provider. No, it provisions air. Yeah, it's literally so. Like in the and we'll get into this later, but if you provision a wall and you want to cut a door frame into it, you can provision the wall and then provision a door with air blocks, and that cuts a hole into any surface. So and we'll get into my primitives library here in a second, but I've developed a whole slew of Minecraft Terraform modules that form different primitive shapes: circles, triangles, rectangles. Anyways, we'll get into that. So the first module that I built, again, starting small and expanding, I built a pillar. I now call it a vector. Okay. But it's essentially a block that goes, in a particular direction. So I've added one attribute besides the material and the start position. There's a length and actually a direction. But I think there's a default for the direction. And so this allows you to set a start position, set a direction, and set a length. And it will create, a set of blocks that go that way. Okay. You're like, Mark, that's cool. But you can't really do much with that. Just wait, right? Modularity, composition. So I take this vector module and I can do interesting things. Look at going in all these different directions. That's amazing. Now I can create a cuboid module, right? Which I had to look this up because I want to make sure I named it properly in my modules, right? But it's basically a three-dimensional rectangle of any size and shape. And now I'm not just going, like a vector, in two dimensions. I can go in 3 dimensions and create much larger structures. And so here I have a length, width, and depth, and of course a direction, and then a material. Now with this cuboid, of course, I can do those interesting things. But now with this, I can take my cuboid and my vector, and I can create different walls. So with my small hut module, I created a wall. Let's go through that. I created a module that creates a wall of windows, and it's just basically 4 vectors, and then a cuboid of glass windows, right? And then I created and then now that I have that module, I just stamp it out in different orientations around the edges of my house. And then I create another module with 2 double doors, right? And I'm using just cuboids and vectors at this point, right? And then I add some corners, because you got to have corners to your house, right? I mean, am I wrong? And I can just do that with a few vectors, right? Now I want to add my roof, and all I have to do is stack, with a smaller size every iteration using a for loop to build a basically pyramid roof. And once I did that, I was like, holy crap. Like, if I can build a pyramid for my roof, I can build any kind of pyramid of any size, and I can make it hollow or not, right? So I started like this kind of just the creative juices were just getting flowing. I'm like, wow, this is just like, high school geometry or something all over again. I'm just having a lot of fun with all the different maths and stuff that you can do. Anyways, that's a little taste. There are no more slides. It is demo time. So if you guys are ready, this presentation is about to take a permanent detour. Let's see. Okay, you can see that. Okay, wonderful. Let me get my code up here. Okay. So here's my VS Code. And this is a root module, which in Terraform is the thing that you deploy, right? Reusable modules are those like components that you can reference in things that you deploy. And as you can see here, I've got a whole bunch of other modules down here: vector, tube, triangle, stairs, sphere. That's one of the newer ones. It's kind of cool. Pinwheel, pyramid, solid, Ziggurat. Anybody know what a ziggurat is?
That's a four-sided pyramid with stair steps, right?
Look at the big brain on Drake. Gee, that's exactly. I had to look this up, okay? Drake just pulls it out of nowhere. Jeez, man. I'm legit impressed, dude. Like, okay, man. Now we know who answers your questions on ChatGPT. Okay. Yeah, that's what a ziggurat is. So I have this module. This is the module that I demoed at Ignite. And I set up a little script here called Sleepy. And basically, this is going to run Terraform init and Terraform apply, or whatever Terraform command I pass it to. I'll give you a little demonstration about that. But let me go back into my Minecraft server here. Okay. Time set day. Okay. Let me make this a little bigger. It's kind of small. Here we go. Okay. So here we go. This is my world. I've got some play stuff set up over here. But to get the real effect, you got to see your very first Terraform apply. Okay. Can you guys see that? Did you see what I just typed there? Yeah. I mean, it's sleepy. I should have, I feel like I'm depriving the youth here of like what it means to do an actual Terraform apply. But this is just doing a Terraform apply. In the where is my sleepy? There we go.
Explain what Terraform apply is.
Yeah. So I'm just running Terraform init and Terraform apply auto approve, because YOLO, right? But to get the real effect, the reason why I'm putting it in this script is I have to sleep for 5 seconds so that I can alt tab back into Minecraft so you can see what's about to happen. Okay. So who's used Terraform before? Who's used Bicep? Okay, we got everybody. Usually when you use an infrastructure as code tool, what do you see? Text wall. Walls of text, boring text. Or, Bicep, they do some cool things. They have a spinny little text ASCII thing, right? Like, oh, it's so cute. It's like, wait, no text walls for us. We're so cool. Anyways, my point is, it's boring. You don't get to visualize what you're creating. And a lot of times, I think developers, especially application developers, don't realize the power that are at your fingertips when you use a tool like this. Like, I feel so powerful when I run Terraform apply or even Bicep, deploy, RG, whatever, blah, 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 sometimes, I can just create something from nothing, just like that, right? It's like, it has a godlike feel. It's like, wow, that just worked. It's amazing. But you don't get to see it, right? You can go stalk your resource group and be like, oh, there it is. Oh, it's popping up. Oh, yep, there's that. There's a key vault. Oh, there's a storage account. But it's like, anyways, I'm setting this up for what you guys are about to see. I hope you guys are excited, but I'm going to run Terraform apply. I'm going to go back to my world. Game mode, creative. And we are going to watch as all of this stuff gets created. Just like that, right? All this stuff, it did not exist seconds ago, but now it exists. I even got a little lava mountain. It's like a volcano, sorry. So I got a little volcano going here, right? Now, who's ever done a Terraform destroy? Okay, ready for this. Now, again, talking about godlike powers, okay? Oh, forgive me, Father. This also is probably the closest thing we mortals can get to. We're going to run a Terraform destroy here. Now watch. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. It's gone. Oh my gosh, there's a horse. It might get smothered by... Oh no. I think it might be okay. It might be okay. Yeah, lava has an interesting destroy effect. You know, it's kind of an interesting side effect of this, right? Look at that. It's all gone. Now, if you've used Terraform in Azure, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because like, or in AWS, it's even worse in AWS because you don't have resource groups. So like, if you want to go delete like an environment, it's like, you know, it's like you're playing, what is that? You know, Sudoku or something. It's like, well, oh, I gotta go to the store S3 screen. I gotta go to the VPC screen. Oh God, I lost the load balancer. Oh, these pips, where are they? You know, yeah, I mean, you can absolutely obliterate a really complex environment just with one command, right? So it's pretty cool. So let me bring all that back, right? And just with one stroke, we're bringing it back. And I'm gonna give you a little bit better of a tour this time. Okay, we might get a better view as this thing gets created. That's fun. Yeah, it's kind of fun. So talking about the modularity, right? What do you think I'm standing on right here? Yes, but which module? Cuboid. Now with this cuboid, all I've done is I've just increased the width, right? It's a square version of a cuboid, right? But I go from 3 by 3 to 4 by 4 to 5 by 5. When I developed the cuboid module and all the other modules, I thought about, okay, what are the inputs, but what are the outputs, right? When you're developing Terraform modules or Bicep modules for Azure or AWS, you do the same thing. How can I connect this thing that I just created to other things that depend on it, right? So the output for each of these cuboids is basically a position in three-dimensional space that I output, so that when this instance of the cuboid module has, oh, that was embarrassing. Who does parkour in Minecraft? Yeah, my son would be doing that, and he's gonna be like, "Dad, you totally fell off the building," you know. Anyways, parkour, you jump around and you don't fall like I just did. Like what? Oh gosh, okay, there you go. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay. So literally, if you look at this, the start position for each of these is the center point of the previous one. That's by design. The cuboid module, I'm taking one of the output positions in three-dimensional space, I'm transforming that using maths, right? I'm doing a three-dimensional transform to offset it by, you know, three blocks or something like that. And then I do the same thing over here. And I'm going to fail right there, right? So now this, you cannot, it's an even width. So we got integer math going on here, okay? But, you know, basically 2 is the midpoint of 4, right? So these relationships are there. Now, this pyramid is a great example. I've got this pyramid over here, and basically I have a pyramid module, but I have provisioned vector modules that are vertically oriented to demonstrate where all the connection points are on the pyramid module. And as you go through here, you can see I'm doing the same thing for, this is my tunnel module, right, which creates a hollow rectangular shape. And you can see that the tunnel module has three-dimensional output points at the mid-center, the bottom middle, the left side, middle, like back, front, top, bottom, all that stuff. And I'm basically just demonstrating how I connect all these things together. You can see that this is the tube. The tube is a circular tunnel, okay? And then the frame, kind of like the nationwide frame, is a rectangular tunnel, right? And the frame has each of these points on all the corners. And I have a midpoint, right? Now, why is this useful? For composability, right? Because when I get to more, like this is all basic stuff. It'd be kind of cool to create a little rat race out of that. But what do you think my castle over here is made out of? Stone bricks, yes. But the Terraform modules that are composing this castle, yes, the walls are that frame module. Basically, I've just taken a frame, right? And, you know, I've made it go, I've stretched that out as long as I want the wall of the castle to be, right? And these turrets over here, do those look familiar? Those are actually the tube module that I've oriented vertically, right? And because I have the positions for where the tube starts and where the frame ends, right, I can easily connect other larger modules together to form the walls of this castle. And then the roof of my turrets are just what module? The pyramid module. But I'm not making gold pyramids here. I got, some interesting, wood color that I like, So this castle is completely built from basically, I guess, 3 different modules, right? The frame for the walls, the tube for the turrets, and the pyramid for the roofs, right? So it's now that I set up for a very special purpose. I'm gonna go back to my code. So one of the mobs that I can create one of the resources that I developed in the Terraform module or Terraform provider for Minecraft is the mob or the entity resource. But I realized that the entity different entities have different capabilities, Like a sheep in Minecraft is special and it's different than like a cow. Why?
Because sheep have wool and cows have leather.
And what's interesting about the wool? Yes. Well, what else is interesting about wool that differentiates it from cows? Yeah. Color. Sheep can come into. Well, there are like what are those mushroom cows? Those are freaky.
Those are creepy.
Those are super creepy. I'm with her. But sheep, come in different colors, right? And so I was like, you know what? I could just if I just set I created a primitive entity that lets you set the mob type, which is like literally sheep. But I was like, you know what? If I want to create sheep of different color, then I would have to do all sorts of weird stuff. So let me just create a resource called the Minecraft sheep, and I'll add an attribute onto it called color. And now I can create a sheep of any color that I want. So if I want to create a flock of pink sheep, if I run Terraform apply, what do you think is going to happen? Am I going to recreate the whole thing that I just created? What's it going to do?
You're gonna add sheep to it.
Yes, exactly. So if I go back here, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo! That's a lot of sheep.
So
And-
what's the filling for?
That's later. Yeah, maybe one died. But look at all these sheep. Look at this sheep. His name is
Look at that 98.
Alpha 2 Delta Delta 4577. You're a cute sheep. Let me pet you. And this one is 4 Bravo F Foxtrot Bravo. Oh, okay, yeah, you're cute. Okay. All of these sheep have special names. In the DevOps world, this is an interesting what is an analogy? No, it's what is that for expressing a philosophical principle, right? Sheeps versus cattle. Who's heard of that? Who's heard of sheeps versus cattle?
Pigs versus chicken.
Pets versus cattle. Sorry. Pets versus cattle. Sorry, I misspoke. I got sheep on the brain. Pets versus cattle? Okay. So, what's the difference between pets and cattle? Yeah, that's right. They're family. What do family members have that cattle don't have? What's your dad's name? What's your name?
Oh, they have their family.
Well, they have names. You ever named a cow?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess. Yes, I've seen City Slickers. I'm sorry. Okay. Bro's got a pet cow. Sorry. It's metaphor is failing. Anyway, so let me just show what happens when pets versus cattle. Oh, I got to run. So I set the flock count to 0. So previously I set it to 100. Now I'm going to set the flock count to 0. What's going to happen to all my sheep?
They're all gonna die.
Oh, Wise beyond her years. Let me say this, folks.
How do you make sure they die when they have? Oh, it's because they're off the GUI instead of the position, right?
Oh, they fall over.
Oh,
Like this Game of Thrones red wedding.
Very sad. Very sad. On the upside, we have a tremendous amount of lamb chops, and enough pink wool to cover the earth. So now let's move to why I have this special place here in my castle for good protection.
one question with it. This might be more a Microsoft question than a Terraform question. But when you're destroying the sheep, like the blocks are pretty obvious doing it position based. Are you identifying the sheep based off the names, or like how do you actually how do you know which sheep's which programmatically?
Well, in the Terraform provider, I assign them with a tag with a GUID. Yeah, that little thing that hovered over the each sheep, that was the GUID that I assign it. So I know each precise sheep. Because in the world, like, you will see mobs spawn.
Yeah.
And they don't have that metadata, right? So that when the Terraform provider provisions a sheep, like, I know what sheep it is. I mean, I being the Terraform provider, right? So I'm not going to go kill random sheep. I'm killing that sheep.
So if you just in the game killed off a sheep, rebrand it, it would respawn that same sheep.
If he hits apply again.
Yeah, hit apply again.
Yeah, it would bring back the sheep. Well, it would bring back a new sheep
With the same
with a new GUID. With a new GUID. Yeah.
with the same.
No.
Well, I'm saying if you have your list of like 100
Cattle don't go to the vet. We don't take care of the cattle. Okay, this is the whole pets versus sheep thing. Pets versus cattle thing. What do you do with an injured bovine? You pop it in the head.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought you were deterministically generating.
If Mittens gets sick, you take it to the vet and you coddle Mittens back to health. That's the whole metaphor, man. Anyways, so why did I create this thing? I need to find. What was it?
One question: I think you mentioned kill it in the game, so that would not be from a Terraform action. So if you had 99 sheep, would you have a stray sheep in the state file?
So that's interesting with the count meta operator. If I went from 100 to 99, each of the sheep that I provisioned would have an index. And whoever was unlucky enough to be sheep number 99 in that index would get, right? Because it's a zero-based indexing. Right? So sheep 0 through sheep 98 are good. Sheep 99, not so lucky.
Well, he was asking about like Terraform state versus reality. Killing off that sheep is now state versus reality are different.
Oh, yeah. If I deleted my state file, then I wouldn't be able to delete. I wouldn't be able to kill those sheep.
In the game, is it possible to delete a sheep that's not initiated by Terraform?
Oh yeah,
Would
with my sword.
then would it I guess yeah. Because I was thinking respawn, but if your state file still thinks it's there, how would your state file know?
Oh, like if I delete one of the sheeps, would Terraform bring it back?
Yeah.
I think it would.
It would.
I think it would.
It works on what calls a reconciliation loop. So it tries to call whatever is holding that. Think of it as a server or system which holds an API and think, I'm supposed to give you these many resources or these many sheep. And state says 100. No, you don't have 100. I only have 99. So I'm going to say, hey, my desired number doesn't match. I'm going to go ask you to go create one more. Where? Doesn't matter.
Okay, are we ready? This is why I created this little perch in the middle of my castle. I'm about to spawn 100 Minecraft zombie resources that have the attribute is baby, true, and can break doors, true, can pick up loot, true, persistence required, true, health 20. Oh my God. I'm sweating just thinking about this right now.
I don't know Minecraft, but
Most of us don't know what that
Baby
is.
zombies are the worst. They are fast, they are deadly, they are vicious little buggers. Because they will burn in the daylight. Yeah. Oh, there they are. Can you see that? Oh gosh.
Put on the night vision stuff.
I don't know how to do that, huh?
Daylight.
All right.
They're thinking over the light button.
There we go. Another. Well, some of them. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. So they're burning. Yeah. Now, if I change my game mode, to survival. You know, now they all want to kill me.
Jeez.
Yeah. So it's kind of bad, you know, just not going to lie. Let's see here. Ah! They're coming at me.
Oh,
Luck-
they're picking up all your.
Luckily, they're burning.
Use your sword.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. I forgot. I'm not a defenseless, but they do have 20 health. I mean, if they weren't burning, I would be in big trouble. Big trouble. Okay. So, yeah. Useful enterprise use cases that we went over today. Flocks of pink sheep. Baby zombie hordes. Okay. Castles, you know. Fun stuff. So let me get rid of the zombie horde so I don't have to worry about it coming back. And let's go try out some things with our castle, right? So here's some interesting things. So I have this, I have all my turrets all set up here, and you can see how I'm using a transform, you know, which is an input variable that I set on all of my modules. This is a convention within my module library so that you can pass in both a start position, but also a transform. Think back to linear algebra, right? It's like you have a position, but then I give you a transform object that basically moves that position to wherever I want you to go, right? That's all we're doing. And other than that, they're all the same thing. Wall, turret, yada, yada, yada. But I have this nice thing where I have input variables that it's just like, what do I want the castle to be made of? What do I want the, you know, turret roof to be made out of? And so right now I'm using deep slate bricks, which are kind of scary and intimidating. So I'm just going to change this to cobblestone and dark oak planks to get like a little bit of a different look onto my castle here. Game mode creative. Get a better view of like how this thing changes. Doesn't matter really, right? Doesn't matter. But the point is, it's like basically transforming my castle. The castle's in the same spot. I'm just changing what it looks like. Now, no self-respecting Minecrafter would make a castle out of cobblestone. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we gotta do something about this. I don't want cobblestone. We got to do some stone bricks. We are going to be cooking cobblestone for, you know, hours. Okay. And so now let's make this thing a little bit more respectable. 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. There we go. That's nicer, right? So here you go. So this is, you know, did I just drop my sword? You know, so this kind of shows, you know, that the idempotence of Terraform, where it's like, this is the desired state that I want you to get to. You figure out how to get there, right? I'm not like running a script over again, you know, and being like, okay, you know, change everything to cobblestone, remove these cobblestone, replace it with this stuff, you know. I'm just updating an attribute and it is figuring out the rest, right? Yeah, so that's, you know, I think this kind of shows some interesting lessons that can be learned. And the primitives module library that you see here, I'm just kind of this is the vectors that I'm kind of showing how you can play off the positioning of them. This is, you know, these are all the connector points that I have of the square frame. These are all the connector points for the tube. And actually, it was kind of fun, you know, creating like a really long tube here out of glass. It was just kind of a really interesting effect, where, you know, I could potentially create like just transportation systems in my Minecraft world, using these structures, and they could just go on forever, and I could kind of create like a little, you know, network of, you know, pathways that, and if I add the powered rail on there, which would just require me to iterate a redstone torch every, you know, X blocks that I had powered rail, then I could ride around on a little Minecraft cart, you know, have, you know.
Why did it end unevenly?
That's a good question. So there are certain limitations in the Minecraft API. Once you get past a certain level of integers, when you apply that API, that it does unpredictable outcomes. So I basically found the limit of which how many blocks in a row that I can provision using the fill API in Minecraft. And once you hit that limit, it's like, I don't know if I want to do that or not. I think it has something to do with like the spawn point and where the player is located, because like once you,
It's too far away.
yeah, like if you get too far away, like the API can't even like provision blocks that far, right? I think I could be wrong.
Is there any way to like provision, move, like?
I'm not sure if that's actually the reason. Yeah, I'd have to play around with it, but yeah. Let me zoom back a little faster here. And yeah, so it's been like interesting trying like different. So I created a circle, right? And then I created output points on the circle, triangle. Been playing around with how to create different shapes of triangles, more different orientations of triangles. This one was really fun. Using the sphere. First, to create the sphere, I had to create a circle, and then once I figured out how to create the circle, then I figured out I could layer, several small, shrinking circles on there. I even tested this. I created a sphere that was 200 blocks in diameter, and I put it up in the sky. This thing looked like the Death Star. I mean, it was massive, and it took a really long time to provision. Otherwise, I'd provision it for you. But it was pretty spectacular to watch it get provisioned. Here's my little Parthenon, and this is actually what a ziggurat is. I think I'm missing part of my ziggurat here, though. Yeah, something happened with my ziggurat. But again, there is a ziggurat module that creates the base of my Parthenon. There's a ziggurat module that creates the roof. And then I just use pillars with different materials. I use pillars of different materials to create a somewhat nice Greco-Roman feel on the inside, right? So, yeah. All it takes is a little bit of math and, a little bit of, playing around with, the different primitive shapes and connecting them in different orientations to create whatever you want to create. Anyways, that's it. If you guys have any questions,
Is this in GitHub?
yeah, the Terraform module is out there available. These modules that I have, like pyramid, tube, frame, vector, cuboid, ziggurat, these are all part of what I'm calling the Terraform primitive modules library, i.e. primitive shapes, which I now have triangle, sphere, which is pretty hard. Actually, the Lego master guy, he was like, it's actually really hard to create perfect circles, so I feel like I did a pretty good job. But then he also said it's really difficult to create a perfectly straight line at odd directions, which makes sense, right? Because if you're working with pixelated space, right? So to create diagonal lines within a pixelated space, is 8-bit pixels basically, is rather difficult. But yeah, I'm also working on another module library called Medieval Castles, Terraform Medieval Castle module for Minecraft, which has like the turrets and things like that to help you build castles. And I'm thinking about creating like a Greco-Roman one to create ancient Rome kind of stuff, like the Jefferson Memorial or stuff like that.
More module creating the world of which this is being placed on? Is that like Minecraft?
It's Minecraft. The seed. So there's a seed map that every Minecraft world lives in. You can control the seed map when you provision the server. So if there's a particular seed, and there's a whole subculture of people that like explore the different seed maps, and are like, this is the best seed map. But I mean, they're all pretty much the same in my book. But yeah, like that's part of the fun. of Minecraft is like, you know, every world is completely different. So that's one of the things that I like to do with Minecraft is to explore, because you see all sorts of different, like, you know, geographical oddities that form, like, you know, islands up in the sky with waterfalls coming down, you know, lava waterfalls that, like, you know, fall into an abyss, you know, underwater caves, and yeah, it's just really fun to kind of explore. But yeah, what's up?
Just a question: have you done anything with AI to take like real life 3D objects and with your terraform definitions to have it dynamically create those and apply that into your work?
That's a really cool idea. I think one of my HashiCorp ambassador colleagues, Mateus, did that, and he was, I think it was him, right? Yeah, and he had this thing where, like, you could put an image and it would like recreate it in Minecraft. So yeah.
Seven Wonders of the World Minecraft edition with Terraform.
What's that?
7 Wonders of the World Minecraft edition with Terraform.
Yeah.
That I know OpenAI can read and interact with CAD models. So you maybe even get a CAD model.
Is it better than it's the 3D model? For instance.
It's better than it was, but still bad.
But I mean, if you have enough definition with your terraform and well defined, it's a matter of explaining it well enough.
Yeah.
So okay, take this and translate this to the same 3D space. And
Yeah, totally. Yeah, create blocks for that. What's That's a good idea. I've not explored that. That would be like, water is definitely an area that I haven't played with. It would be interesting to find ways to create air bubbles, right?
I can help with that.
Oh yeah.
You'd make a hole, like a 1 block hole, and then I don't know how to
You can do a
exactly.
pool.
Yeah.
So you just make a 1 block deep hole under the water, place glass, dig 1 piece of the glass out, dig 3 blocks down, cover the glass up, the water should stop flowing, and then you just keep making the outside.
With Terraform, I mentioned the air material, right? I think with Terraform, I could create a hollow, like, shape, whatever I wanted. I am working on a hollow sphere because that would be kind of cool. But if I could put air, like, let's say I create a hollow cube, right? Inside that would probably be water, because when it creates the casing of the cube, there's still going to be water in there, I presume. But like, if I provision an air cube inside of the other cube with just a slightly smaller dimension, I could erase all of the water, right? So I think there's lots of interesting, you know, game dynamics that, like, you could experiment with, and I think this is a really interesting parallel with our ClickOps world, right? Because the way we do things with ClickOps in the Azure portal or with the AWS console is often different than the way we think about it with the Terraform resources, right? Because, like, there might be easier paths, you know, if you're doing ClickOps, like you just described a perfect way to create an underwater bunker if you're actually physically mining the blocks, right? But like, when you're using an automation tool, there's different ways to accomplish the same thing. And actually doing what you like, the way that you would do with ClickOps might even be harder with the automation tool, right? At least that's been my experience. Like, if there's certain pathways in the Azure portal, like, it's actually more difficult to do it, to try and recreate that, than to automate it, like, from scratch with Terraform. What's up?
Does the repo have like an open project board, or is there some like way of requesting, or people did want to contribute, that you have like I want somebody to make an underwater base, or make a cube full of water, or make whatever?
No, man. I just do this for kicks, dude. It's fun. Yeah. But thank you for volunteering. I look forward to that pull request, you know, and the maintainer request. Yeah. Any other questions? So who's ready to discover Minecraft?
Maybe.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
it's pretty fun. It's a good break from the IT world. Just get in your rowboat, man, and just go row that rowboat. Like literally, like you could literally have a beer and just hold down the A button, you know,
I understand.
and steer. It's like, oh, that's cool. Look at all this stuff, man. Yeah, it could not be. It could be a Diet Coke. Anyways,
Thank you again, Mark.
that's it. That's it.
We'll probably stick around for another 20, 30 minutes. I don't know if there's a particular restaurant or bar you want to go to nearby. Otherwise, just wander around, ask questions, and don't leave a mess. There are Yes. lots of trash cans.
Yes, all the trash in the back, please, or else they'll never let us use the room again. Get it away.
I think they already stole the food for tomorrow's lunch.
Well, actually, we barely had any left. It's you weren't kidding. We'd have a bigger crowd.